Hi everyone, I recently did a video on the One Big Beautiful Bill where I briefly talked about the no tax on tips, the no tax on overtime, no tax on car loan interest, and the new deduction for seniors. And since the passage of that bill, the IRS has issued a fact sheet with more details about each of those deductions. And I'm going to include a link to that fact sheet below. So while my new video had a lot of views, it also raised a lot of questions from viewers about some of those deductions. So in today's video, I'm going to answer some of those questions related to the no tax on overtime. Actually, I did a series of separate videos where I answer frequently asked questions on the no tax on tips, no tax on car loan interest, and the new deduction for seniors. So now let's go over some of the common questions about the no tax on overtime. First question I received is all overtime pay now completely tax-free? And the answer is no, the new law does not make overtime pay tax-free. Instead, it lets you deduct a part of your overtime pay from your taxable income. So while this may lower your tax bill, it doesn't mean that it's a dollar for dollar reduction of your overtime pay, a dollar for dollar reduction on your taxes. Now, sometimes people confuse a tax deduction with tax exempt income, where they think they're going to pay no tax at all on their overtime pay, and that's not the case. Just like on the no tax on tip deduction, overtime wages will still be subject to Social Security and Medicare taxes. So when does a no tax on overtime pay go into effect? So this deduction for the overtime pay is retroactive to January 1st of 2025 and will continue until 2028 tax year. So this is a temporary tax deduction. Obviously, the question is how much overtime pay can you deduct? And the amount of overtime pay you can deduct is based on your filing status. You can deduct up to $12,500 of qualified overtime pay if you're single. And if you're married filing jointly, you can deduct up to $25,000 of overtime pay. Now remember, this deduction reduces your taxable income, and it's not a dollar for dollar deduction in your taxes. A very important question is, does this deduction apply to all overtime pay that I earn? And the answer is no, it only applies to qualified overtime pay or qualified overtime compensation that's defined by Section 7 of the Fair Labor Standards Act, also known as the FLSA. That typically means that any wages you earn over a typical 40-hour work week is qualified as overtime compensation. Next question is, how does the deduction work? Do I see it in my paycheck immediately? And the answer is no, you're not going to see it in your paycheck immediately. For the 2025 tax year, you're going to likely see the benefit of the deduction when you file your 2025 tax return in 2026. Now, the IRS is expected to modify the income tax withholdings for 2026, so you may see a slight increase in your take-home pay in 2026. A common question I received is, do I need to itemize to be able to claim this deduction? And the answer is no, because this is an above-the-line deduction, which means that you can claim it even if you take the standard deduction and you do not itemize. Of course, people want to know if there are income limits for this deduction, and the answer is yes. Just like the income limits on the no tax on tips, the same income limits apply for the no tax on overtime. The deduction phases out for high income earners. So if your income is over $150,000 a year as a single filer or $300,000 a year as a married filer, then you're phased out. But the deduction is reduced by $100 for every $1,000 of income above those thresholds. It's the same calculation as a no tax on tips. One question I received is, how does this impact me if I'm an employer? Well, if you're an employer, you need to be able to track and report this qualified overtime compensation separately on each of the employee's W-2 forms. Another question I received is, will this deduction affect my Social Security and Medicare taxes? And the answer is no, because this deduction only applies to federal income tax, and overtime wages will continue to be subject to Social Security tax and Medicare tax, which are known as payroll taxes. Some people want to know, how long will this new tax on overtime pay deduction be in effect? And the answer is, deduction is temporary, and it's currently scheduled to expire on December 31st of 2028. Hey, if I didn't answer your question on the no tax on overtime, please leave a comment below and I'll either do a separate video or I will answer your question directly.